I want them to be excited enough, enthused enough that they will write a check for $100,000, $200,000, which would be what? A crore to a couple of crores. So that we can take these companies beyond that 15 lakhs to the next level of engagement. We can take to market, we'll probably expose them a little bit to the international markets and things like that. That is all we want to do, right? And PKG search, that slide that I was talking about. I mean, I'm hoping that that is right. Provided you do your distribution of wealth across multiple companies, multiple sectors in a reasonable fashion, rather than putting all your eggs in one basket, your risk will be kind of mitigated, and you will be able to make a 30% returns over time. That is what he has given data, and that is what he has been telling us all the while in our Ignite program. So what becomes important? What becomes important is not just the wealthy individuals, but also systems, angel network systems in place. I mean, we have two. We have the Malabar Angel Networks and we have the Kerala Angel Networks from Thai. Those are the only two angel networks, if I remember, in the state. Some work within the state. So there are two ways in which you could participate. One, you could attach yourself with an angel network. You could also become a limited partner in one of the funds. That is, if you have a larger check to write, then you can actually, we'll introduce you to the unicorn. Stay a spectator from here on, and I'll let Rajiv lead the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Anup, for that introduction. Set the context really, really well. Karnataka region for NASSCOM's startup initiative called the 10,000 Startups. I also lead their investor relations nationally, and really a huge pleasure and honor to be here moderating this panel. There are so many great people around and not enough time to pick on all your brains, but very happy to see some familiar faces here. And we'll try and get each one of you to at least speak for a while and contribute towards this topic. Along with me is my fellow moderator Vivek. Vivek, why don't you give your introduction?
Thank you, Rajiv. Thank by the team here. It's a good opportunity for all of us, and a fair amount of time has also been set apart for this. So I'm sure most of us here who have a lot of ideas. Personally, I think almost all of you, barring one or two of you here whom I'm seeing, whom I'm not able to recognize, but all the others are good friends in the room, so I don't really think I need to introduce myself per se. Vivek Govind, part of Varma & Varma, also part of many of these organizations which are represented here. And what I think we can first do is maybe do one quick round of intro of all the delegates and then take it forward.
Angel Network.
Rajesh Nair, I lead EY in Kerala, but I wear hats of Thai and Kerala Angel Network as well.
I'm Savi Matthew, heading PK Kerala State Council.
I'm Dr. Nirmala Padmanabhan, Dean of Incubation, St. Teresa's College.
Mohammed, I represent Mecca Village here from Karachi.
I'm part of a company called HEAL. I'm also part of IPO and CAN and TAI and all these organizations.
Hi, I'm Dilip. I'm representing INQ Innovation. I'm a co-founder for this company, and last couple of years we are in this market for supporting the startups.
Hi, my name is Vijay Abraham. I am the Kochi chapter chair for CII Young Indians. I'm also the director of Dhanam Publications. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Ranjana Verghese and I'm the Associate Dean with the business school called CV Institute of Management and Entrepreneurship, the Kochi campus.
Anil Balan, I'm representing a self-grown community of startup founders. We have got 400.
I head the co-working space called InnerSpace Co-working in Kerala.
Hi everyone, I'm Tushar Agarwal. I'm partner at Dexter Angels. We are a seed stage investing firm and we are in existence for the last 4 years, have done 30 plus investments.
Hello, my name is Mitu. I represent Head Start Network Foundation. We are a 15-year-old not-for-profit organization supporting startups and founders across India. We have about 20 chapters across India and other states also.
Good morning all. I am myself Ambili TB, General Manager Kinfra.
Good morning everyone. This is Arun Nair from TAI Kerala.
Good morning. Myself Pushpi Murikan. I'm a practicing cost accountant by profession, but also happen to be the co-founder of Women Entrepreneur Network. Now we have around 850 plus members across Kerala through 5 districts.
Good morning everyone. Myself Jitesh, representing Federal Bank. I had fintech partnerships for Federal Bank.
Hello, I am Prashant, representing KSIDC from Kottayam. I am General Manager.
Good morning all. Myself Riyaz, representing Knowledge Economy.
I'm Nirmala. I'm representing the Kerala Management Association President. I'm also heading All Ladies League. That's the largest networking forum for women in the world. I've got 40 chapters here, and I'm also part of WICCI, that is Women in Chamber of Commerce and Industries. We have got 6 councils here.
Morning, Kamath, part of TIE and CAP.
Hi, I'm Vinay. I chair an angel network called Sparks Angel Network. I also chair 2 other angel networks, EO Angels and LAN outside the country. And I'm also part of CAN and Taikela.
Conclude 4 investments this financial year, the latest one being yesterday. Interesting here is last year for 4 investments we screened from 100 odd startups. This is an important milestone. Now we talk about unrealized gains, but a realized gain can excite many X in the pre-seed, and when the angels come in the seed round, we can simply look at the runway and and the stake dilution. But for this, I think it's important to have an advisor from an independent, unbiased advisor, perceived so. So from if there's somebody like that they can go to, for in KSUM, I'm saying not an employee of KSU, perhaps you can have a consultant or so. So who can offer unbiased advice, So this is very important. When it comes from the investor, it's always seen with a colored bias. So these are, maybe I have one more suggestion and then I will hand over. So this is, I think we should always, any kind of investment deals, I don't know if KSU has a newsletter or something like that. No. So,
no corporate communication that is going on.
Yeah. So I think, we could have on at least a monthly basis and any investment deals can be highlighted. This gets across all networks, this will also be good, and then also on the startup community, it should, the deals happening. So that will also improve on our deal pipeline. So these are 4 humble suggestions from my side. Thank you.
There are very many extremely active bodies here. Some of you could consider or could take a look at the good work being done by TIE and CAN. It really took off when Ajit was president. So we'll listen to Robin. But before that, I could see that Ajit has come very well prepared. 3-4 points, so he's able to concise and articulate his thoughts well. I would request all of you, by the time the mic comes to you, in case you aren't prepared, kindly have a brief note of what you intend.
Which started sometime in 2016. Till now, Conclo has made 20 plus investments. 9 of them are in Kerala, and we got 3 exits from Kerala, including Profounders, which was probably the first such a kind of exit in Kerala. Then Instant.ai. So basically what I'm trying to say is, investment is always a function of trust. So you want to make more people invest in Kerala, you need to build trust. It's as simple as that, right? How do you build trust? In case of startups, startup mission should start focusing on the outcome, which is the exit part, right? And then work backwards. So if there are more and more exits, there will be more and more investors coming in. So that is a simple formula for this. Whatever we may do, if we are not seeing enough exits, the ecosystem will become a desert, right? So focus on exit and work backwards. So that is my only suggestion.
I'll ask the question. No, I'll ask it literally.
My name is Shilan. I'm representing Malabar Angel Network. So we have started this probably around 4 years back. It's an NGO, Angel Network, and the concept was how do we create investors. So our belief is that if you want the local ecosystem to flourish in terms of startup and entrepreneurship, they need to have money should come in, okay, and that's the theme of this. So what we see is that, so we have been trying to, with a network of people who has had some past experience in this process, we have been trying to create a model to do an advocacy of how to be an angel investor. So that was the architecture of this. So we created it as a Section 8 company. So we go to HNIs and also the people who have got some disposable income, and then tell them, because we are not taking anything out of it. So that is very clear. So with that dispassionate background, we tell the people that this is another alternate form of investment. It is not easy. So at the moment we have got around 70 people in our network. We charge a small amount just to 70 people. And I would say probably around 15 are active. And there are a lot of considers in this model. So we have made around 7 to 8 investments. 2 we are written off, and 2 we have got good promise. And we are talking about maybe investing in a couple of things which we are strongly engaged. So the challenge is that I think people need to be converted, because I think one of the problems with our people is that they have got this model of how to make money is through mostly transactional, or it's mostly a trading mindset. And that is a paradigm which we have to change. It is not easy. So we have been going on and telling people that this is another way. So other than making money, you are also contributing to the local ecosystem. So that is the philosophy. So things are improving, and I think hopefully we are able to convert a lot of people, and people are watching and seeing. And as Ajit was talking, that we need to have some results. Okay, and then what we feel is that, and we don't want to oversell. I think one of the challenges is that one day Sunny Gopinath was telling that once you talk about your system, then no one is going to invest in it. With all the with all the statutory or risk factors, so we go too much into that. So, and again, Kerala is famous for there are a lot of scams like this. There is a scam about goat and even some things like Manjiam and those. So I think we will be extra cautious about it. But still, we are moving. So that is it.
Yeah. So we started, then there was a lull. Now we're on our 14th deal. In fact, this year we're on our 8th deal. 7 investments so far. We're a very small network in terms of our ticket size, because our average investment is 40 lakhs. 2.8 crores is what we're investing over the 7 deals. So in that context, something that I briefly mentioned to Anup when I met him in Calicut. One of the things I believe KSM could help us with is, for a network like us, we don't close rounds very easily. So like I said, our average ticket size is 40 lakhs, but we do a lot of deals. There are a few deals where, because our committed capital was only a very small part of the round, that I found it very risky to push the investors to go ahead and invest, because that wouldn't have moved the needle. So in a context like that, if a part of the investable funds that KOCM has can be used as a co-investment with angel networks directly to the startups, then we can actually close a lot more deals. There are deals where we have commits of 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs and all that we could not close because the startup would have probably needed at least 75 lakhs or 50 lakhs to close. And in a context like that, we've even given term sheets. And in our term sheets, when the investment size is low, we say that the call for money can happen as a condition preceding to closing in the term sheet. We say that the call for money can happen only when 50% of the round is closed. So such deals don't even get closed for us. So yes, in terms of applications, because we have a white labeled angel deal management platform called the Angels app, we get about 200 to 250 applications a month. So we have huge deal flow, so we don't have a problem with regard to deal flow. In terms of members, the number of angel investors and getting more memberships, my perspective would be a little
counterintuitive, I would say, because when we were 8 members, we did 2 deals. When we were 15 members, we did 4 more. And then we went to 45 members and did 0 for 2 years because it was crazy managing all of them. And then we moved to Smart Sparks was what Sparks was earlier called. We moved to 2.0 where we very subtly offloaded about 20-25 members, and this year we have now done like on our 8th deal now. So yeah, so that's my views, my perspective might be different, but just wanted to share those.
I think Ajit has already spoken. Couple of things, right? So it's probably been a decade. Made probably my approach was probably make one investment a year, make it worthy enough that I invest time into it. Because most of the investors will have their own businesses to run, like I do, and time should be worth it. And you have to be able to contribute more than your money. I think that's very important in the angel investment space. And I have earned 3 MBAs. Expensive education, and that probably some of the learnings of that is probably going to. So when you look at it, where do I feel cheated? And this is where I think Robin's point is very important, right? We feel, I mean, it's really awful. It's okay to lose money, but it's awful if you feel really ripped off, right? And I've had a couple of them. I think 2 key issues, which is probably a policy level thing, which could happen, which should happen across India, right? Not a KSU specific thing, but across. I think this angel tax is a nightmare. Should go. I think it's absolutely stupid to have this whole valuation thing being written. So we have a lot of companies coming to us saying, I have this chartered accountant's valuation, right? No offense to chartered accountants, but it is like the boy and the girl have fallen in love with each other. Now you're going to an astrologer to make them say, please match it up. It's like that. So valuations are like that. So why have this whole nightmare on the ecosystem, right? So you're making 99% people suffer for 1%. And as the law is written, it's up to the satisfaction of the assessing officer. You can't, it's like total rubbish, right? The second thing, so for example, DPIIT, that is another, I speak very bluntly, please excuse my friend. So it is a farce. So if you create a valuation exemption under DPIIT, then you can't have, for 7 years, you should be handcuffing yourself and just doing nothing. So you can't do M&A, you can't do investing in real estate, you can't buy, I don't know. Yeah. And all of this will come back to you after 7 years. Hopefully, if you're doing well, you should be able to pay that tax demand that will come. But, it's really stupid. It's like, better not be there. I don't think anybody needs a fine print. So this awful. So the third point I'd like to make is again from my MBAs, the worst is I can't even claim losses because companies have gone into strike off because 2 years the founder is gone. Company goes into strike off. My accountant will not even allow me to claim losses, which is even worse. Right? So. How do I can't revive the company, and you can't revive the company. If you can't revive the company, then you can't do it. So probably this is where Ajit's suggestion comes into play, where if it is a fund, I believe the fund can write off and then the LP can claim the investment. I think, Shilen saying 2 out of 8, our own experience is also probably very different. So I think that becomes a very important thing. You should be at least able to claim losses. Very, very important. Then probably the last point I will make is to basically, it's better probably to say that investment is not charity. It should be completely for profit, and we should not give a color of charity. That should be different. That's all.
One thing which I realized is that, so I have also been running a network for the last 4 years. And of course, I was previously working at a family office of 4 years as well, so 8 years into seed investing. And I don't see these many challenges when I do my business, right? And I'm based out of Mumbai, I have a team in Bangalore, some folks sit in Kolkata and Delhi. So I think one thing which is becoming apparent is that the investor education has not happened, right? With the kind of ticket sizes you folks are writing, you can't lead rounds, right? So you can't decide valuation. It's the lead investor who's going to decide the valuation, right? Second is exits don't happen so soon. I mean, I've been investing for 8 years, would have invested in 50 odd companies. I would have now started realizing some of the exits from the deals which I've made previously. Of course, shutdowns have happened, so those have been realized pretty soon. So you can't engineer an exit. I mean, if it was a possibility, then I would also be doing the same thing right now, right? So the biggest thing which brings investor to investing in startups is the deal flow, right? Can you pull the best deal flow out there? And I agree with the last gentleman that you can't run it like a not-for-profit. Then you're not setting the right precedent, right? You need to bring in folks who are paying something for getting access to a quality deal flow, and you as a fund manager are working for them to provide an exit to them, right? Of course, with a caveat that all this capital can go zero, and this is a high-risk innovation capital. So it's a portion of your portfolio. So somewhere what Anup said in the beginning is not tying up that if there is so much capital available, why are folks not investing through angel networks, right? I'm sure you guys know these folks already who are investing through you, right? So if there's so much capital available, why ticket sizes of 40 lakhs, 70 lakhs, 80 lakhs, right? And I also don't understand the reason why you should be only Kerala focused, right? The idea should be that you have to get the best deal flow. So if the best deals are coming in, folks will get excited. They should want to put in more capital. And once you start writing larger checks, you can call, you can decide terms of the rounds. And I think investors need to be educated on valuation. If the traditional investor expect the same valuation which they are giving to, large public market businesses, then the same can't be replicated in private markets, right? So maybe some angel investor who has done well in the Kerala ecosystem, if he or she can be, taking a lead in terms of educating the other investors out there, that could possibly result in, folks understanding that valuation is the last thing you should be caring about. Why? Because if you have entered into a good company, maybe you have overpaid. But if it's going to give you return, right, nothing like that in the venture market, right? So can we identify the best companies to invest in, leave apart the valuation, right? And can that kind of education be given to the investors? Another point, so I have a lot of points, but I'll not take too much time. I think another point which I had was that there should be an angel fund out of Kerala, or maybe you can use folks like LBA or whoever, right? Because now it's not the time where individual folks can come on cap table and dictate terms. Right? You have to come in as a single entity on the cap table, which we have been doing since the very beginning when we started investing. And now that we are setting up our own fund, we will be doing the same as well, right? So yeah, I mean, startups will fail, but it's surprising that after 3 to 4 years in the ecosystem, we have been only able to do 8 to 10 deals, right? We should have been more active, and I can understand that is because the investors are not participating, right? But until unless you invest in 20, 30 deals, you won't be able to have the visibility of, exits and up rounds. And instead of focusing on exit, can we focus on up rounds? I think that would make more sense, because once the investor sees that the money is multiplying, let's say on paper, but at least it's multiplying, right? So it's more visible that some progress is happening. So, I mean, another suggestion is the angel networks here can sort of work in partnership with other angel networks because they are writing small checks. Their objective should be, can I enter into the best deal, which is happening out there, right? Be it in Kerala or outside. But can I enter into the best deal? And can I have some long-standing partnerships with some of the other folks? I think these are some of the suggestions from my side.
Folks sitting behind, was it? Small things. But what I would like to offer to the Kerala Mission is that I think it's a combination of a lot of investor education. We at Let's Venture pioneered this about 2 years back, and what we noticed is that our conversion rate for a newbie to come, go through the learning session, and then invest is as high as 48% within 60 days. I think a good investor education program is a key, number one. Number two, we should also look at getting angels outside Kerala into Kerala to experience and add a lot of value over here. Right? I think that's the second point. The third point is we talked about money not being available. Just to give you metrics on my platform, I have Kerala angels who invested about 12 crores in the last 6 months. So it's not that money is not available, and it comes down to the quality of deals. Right? The third thing is I think will be very, very useful is how do you get the quality of deals? Obviously, there is public up happening on all the good work being done by the angel ecosystem in Kerala. If you have a small rating system in the government, which is able to bubble up these companies, there's a higher probability that the locals who have not invested before may invest, and partnering with the local angel networks over here, right? We as Let's Venture are happy to come and do a top up on that. And I'm happy to commit an X amount to the Kerala Mission as well for the next 3 to 5 years to ensure that the investments in this ecosystem increase as well. The last point also will be, I think it's important to see is, can we get startups outside Kerala into Kerala, right? And I think government swaps from the Kerala Mission and the Kerala government will be highly helpful to enable that. How that will help is when you have cross-pollination of new founders coming in, right? And when he or she gets an exit, it trains the local ecosystem, right? And that goes a long way, and that is how, in my opinion, Bangalore has been built. Right. I think these are combination. I'm happy to get into a more detailed one separately as well, but these are a few things in my mind. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Investments into startups from Kerala, right?
At least from a startup mission perspective, that is a problem.
That's what it is. So we'll focus on that, right? Look, and there are many stakeholders in this room who are sprouting startups from colleges, universities, young budding. The average age of a startup founder is between 25 to 30 years. Average age of decision makers who make investments into startups, people like us, is 45 years. There's a 20-year difference. The best way to stitch together a continual form of engagement is to have a digital platform into which people can log in using their credentials, identifying themselves as the right entity, whether you're an angel, whether you're a university, whether you're a founder, whether you're a seed investor, pre-seed investor, pre-A investor, Series A investor, whatever you might be, whatever your interest is. You can also, scope out that interest by sectoral. Suppose you're an angel investor only interested in maybe biotechnology, right? Because you're comfortable with it. Then, you will only get the flow of that kind of nature. That will ensure that this ecosystem is very vibrant, and these are only interventions which happen or can be financed to happen with so many people in the room only once or twice a year on that. Secondly, look, Delhi and Bangalore comprise about 80% of the startups in the country. It is very obvious that the founders who are behind those startups are not from Delhi or Bangalore alone. They're from all over the country. Why did they choose those two cities to create that ecosystem, and therefore investors are all around them as well? So they have, all of them have their offices and teams and all of that. So this is a private market. It is not a public market, right? It doesn't appear in Economic Times every day. It operates only basis personal relationships. Nakul and I know each other, Anil and Joshi and I know each other. Everybody knows everybody. I tell him, hey, Nakul, keep an eye out for me. I'm looking for a financial services education startup from anywhere in the country. He makes a note because we are on pre-A, so we take deal flow from him. He calls me up 6 months later, just puts a WhatsApp message. Immediately a Zoom call is set up by my team, and within 6 months an investment happens. Okay. So we have to build relationships. That's very important. So thank you for inviting us into Kerala. But how about all of you from Kerala? Please come into the ecosystem that is already existing, right? And make your relationships. Relationships, somebody mentioned, I think, trust, right? So deals are made on trust. That means relationships. That means FaceTime. If I meet you once, that's not much. Twice, thrice, 4 times, we'll have a relationship. We'll come to understand each other. So FaceTime is necessary. And towards that, I make one concrete suggestion. Let each of the stakeholders pick up, let's say, one company. Let's say at seed stage, which you're really proud of. And you know it inside your instinct, which bunch of founders, which bunch of companies is really meritorious. They are world class. Okay? Create a Kerala Startup Mission Day in Delhi and Bangalore. I can tell you, those companies will get funded. These examples will create so much energy inside the founder community, inside the investor community. We will block our dates in advance, right? I think Nakul, we are all, yeah, sorry.
I have a
please.
discussion, but let's continue this.
Please, yeah.
I'll catch up. It's being recorded, so we have all the minutes recorded.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So, you will be surprised. Somebody said that the best place for all Indian investors to meet efficiently and most productively, because we all know about Bangalore traffic and all our flights landing on time. We said the most efficient place for all of us to meet is actually Singapore, and it is true. And therefore, we meet in Singapore in events, paying fees. Once or twice a year in August and September, we block our dates in advance. All of us are nearly there. And what do? We discuss deals. We discuss only deals. We sit down and we discuss 4 companies. I'll discuss 3 companies with him, he'll discuss 4 companies with someone else. That's how deals happen. So I think we got to know more of you. Please come, participate in the domestic startup scene in Delhi and Bangalore, which is where most of this happens. Build your relationships. Thank you for inviting us here. We would love to see more of you over there as well. And let's have one Kerala Startup Day, where you bring the most kick-ass startup that you think, and I'm sure it will get funded. Yeah. All right.
Thank you so much. Is there any other angel network that you have missed?
In terms of investments, I think we've heard a lot of ideas. I was just thinking on the other side of the spectrum. Ajit was giving you some figures. We've actually looked at a part of CAN as well. So we've actually looked at around 100 odd ideas and companies, and then we've landed up funding close to 8 of them. And if you look at the ratios of the others, it's it will be a sub 10% sort of ratio. What I was thinking, which is apart from all these wonderful ideas on the investment side, is how to prepare our ecosystem better. So which means how do you prepare all these young guys with great ideas? Then I'm picking on the idea on the the 60-day masterclasses and things like that. I think something which I could sort of offer is probably coordinate with, let's say, TIE, and as a firm we could come in and do a white paper on what could we do to support, and not just a few ideas, but how do we create an implementation engine around it? What are those first 3-4 steps, and then probably work with. I'm part of the KSUM governing board as well, so work with KSUM and see if we can do some sort of a POC for 3 months and see if it's bringing any valuable difference in the sort of quality of pitches which are coming in. Because I think the quality of pitches, we see them on a weekly basis. Every Saturday we see some of these pitches. Some of them lack the language to explain their ideas. So it's not just that they don't have ideas, it's actually that because at the end of the day, we're not Bombay and we're not Bangalore. We don't have that kind of exposure. These guys don't have enough exposure of what are good pitches and all that. So we could probably create some sort of a training mechanism or mentoring mechanism where we prepare them better. So probably anchor doing some sort of creating some steps and probably doing a POC.
Sure. I mean, just 30 minutes into the meeting and already there are these great pool of ideas that KSU can benefit from. Listening to all the investor side and taking cue from what Rajesh just said, I think it's absolutely critical because for the growth of the investment in startups, you need both a strong investment side and a strong startup side. Now, having heard from the investors, Vivek, I think it would be a good idea to hear from the startup side. And look, we have great incubators here, we have education institutes who are all in the thick of it. If some of you can throw lights on what do you think is the field from the startup side? How can we improve the quality of startups? Because end of the day, if the deal flow is not there, angels and investors don't get to make exits and this circle continues. So from your side, how do you see the growth of the startup ecosystem? What do you think can be done to improve the quality of startups and make them investor ready, like Rajesh was saying? Why don't we start from Nirmala? You have also been leading the women entrepreneur thing. So.
Thank you. Yeah. As is the Kerala Management Association, actually spearheading management movements in Kerala, and we have got about 2,000 members. What we can offer is we have got a resource people, plenty, a lot of them, and you ask for any segment, we have people. And in terms of what Rajesh said, he said they're lacking their communication skill. Maybe we can give them training in the, we have got space as well, we can give that. And we can give them membership. Actually, we have got startup membership at the subsidized rate, and they can be part of us. We are having lots of seminars, workshops, evening lectures, so they can be part of it. And it is also a wonderful place for networking, so that also can be done. And then, we have space there for if you want an incubation or councils or cell, we can offer that as well. So these are the things what we can do. For we have got resource people and our corporates all are available here. Then whichever way you can use, we are more than happy to associate with.
Absolutely, we need, I think, all of those, all of the above. Yeah. So,
my comment is not from the startup side, the other side, because last 5 years I was actively involved in a couple of action elements.
Sure.
One would be that I'm not a great fan of investor education thing. Of course, let it come, because the time taken from the translation is too high. So let it happen, but at the same time itself, if we can identify lead investors in the various angel network, especially some connection with the Kerala or Malayali or connection, then we should make them as an anchor investors and let us encourage them to lead the investment. That is one solution. Second thing, Kerala has 1,074 higher education institutions. The alumni network is a huge network. There are institutions like KUSAT, SAI. If they take a lead, they can proactively form the network. Many of them are active investors itself. That's the second suggestion. Of course, investor education, let us continue, but instead of KSUM being a small entity, I would suggest the existing angel network or the incubators should take the lead to do the investor education program. Then I think there is someone has already mentioned that this is not a charity business, this is an investment area. So investors only look for return. So Kerala, if we don't have enough startups, they will look for somewhere else. So we should attract maximum startup from other part of the country. Especially we have an advantage because many of the state missions are not active as Kerala did. So we can actually create a hub for the startup thing itself. That is another element. Then Vinay already mentioned about the angel co-investment model. I think we had incorporated in the startup missions this year
plan itself, there is a portion has already earmarked for the angel co-investment. That is another area we can focus on it. Then there is very little networking opportunities for the investors. Robin had mentioned that trust factor. This is a very close group. We need to build that trust over a period of time itself. So we need to consciously select the people into that group itself and create more networking opportunities. Finally, celebrate the success, exit, and celebrate the investor also. Most of the time, we celebrate the startup success, but investors, we are not celebrating itself. So that is one element. And finally, we don't need to worry too much about the things. Kerala, there is a richness index. Kerala has lot of investment, lot of money also is there, but very few people are actually actively investing in things. Only once they see the result, then the rest of the will follow. He mentioned about the goat and tree things. This is exactly that. There is a imitation tendency. Once the success starts, then people will follow. And finally, people like Jidesh, bank has a lot of wealthy customers are there. Most of the wealthy customers are looking for high returns actually. If we educate this, if banks take the lead role and educate them, then probably things will fall. And finally, I think prior to that thing, even before the NIMI, although the players were, and now the non-players, and the moment the non-players become the active players, then ecosystem will boom. This is based on my experience.
KSIDC, we have supported more than 150 startup in the seed fund stage. We provide seed fund up to 25 lakhs. And recently we have started scale-up funding also. Scale-up we give up to 50 lakhs now. I think it is decided to enhance it to 1 crore. In that stage, KSIDC, and earlier we have incubation centers as well. And now we interact closely with the Kerala Startup Mission. What I find, the startup ecosystem, many people do not know how to connect. They do not have adequate training, like Mr. Rajesh said, and networking is lacking. And many of the startups which we have financed and do not have proper mentoring support. We need to identify proper mentors and handhold them to next level. Unless they go to next level, they cannot exist from what they suppose they in the 150 startups we have funded, only probably 10 or 15 people have repaid the amount. Almost 50 of them are doing somewhat okay, but they are not going into a scale-up stage. Only very few people are going into the scale-up stage. We need to handhold them. They need to understand who are the investors, and we need a proper networking, and we need to connect them to the angel network. These are the need of the hour. That is what I.
Yeah, thank you. I represent Federal Bank, and I work with a lot of startups and fintechs at this point of time. Wherever investors fail to put money into fintechs, we come in and we give loans. One thing I would like to say is what Rajesh was saying. Grooming is very important as far as any investors to invest in a company. Mainly, what I see in most of the fintechs in Kerala is that the lack of grooming. They don't have a proper guidance in the ecosystem. Even if an investor comes into them, they may not be knowing, or they don't have the projections, so they don't know how to go into the new markets, etc. There are so many good fintechs with good ideas whom we work with. But the challenge is they don't get the right grooming. So if we are having some mechanism where, like NASCOM does 10,000, etc. I have been a part of NASCOM. We also been a part of that. We used to work with a lot of companies in a NASCOM 10,000 also. But basically, most of them need to know what is a company structure, where is my product, am I doing the right product at this point of time, or are I just copying this? So if that particular part is being done by some entity, maybe I don't know who the right entity, maybe KSUM can take a read, and all others like eBay etc., can come in and give their own contribution, because there are a lot of people with different expertise. If they come together and give a session for every startup, or they do analyze a startup and see whether this is going in the right direction, that will be really helpful. Maybe even in Kerala, I see extremely good fintechs. As a bank, we have worked with almost 75 to 80 fintechs at this point of time, whether they give services to me or we offer our products through them. And many investors come to us and discuss with them, okay, what is the capability of this company? Are they claiming the right thing? What is the product? And at least, as far as I know, 80% of them are at least having Series A, B funding. But where I see the problem is that, as Rajesh said, communication. Most of them are unable to communicate properly what their strengths are or what is their idea, how is it going to promote. And number two, where should I, maybe where can be some amount of sharing or co-sharing of certain things, like they spend a lot of money on certain aspects like HR and finance and accounting platform, etc. Do they really need to spend money, or can it be on a sharing based on a cloud basis, etc.? So companies in NASCOM 10,000 can also help us offering a platform or service or something like that to all these ecosystems, that they can save money on the OPEX side, plus they can focus on their product. Now most of them struggle in managing their finances, HR, and all the other things. So that's what I feel as a challenge which I see in all these startups.
So ours is like an exclusive women organization, and I've already mentioned we have around 815, it's close to 900 I should say. But the thing is that within our group, we do have good mentors who can train on financial discipline or HR or anything. But actually what we lack is technology integration. Because, you know, when we speak about startups, it is particularly, specifically IT. So we do have at least 30 or 40% businesses which are scalable, but with technology integration. All are interested also, but they don't know how to, what are the opportunities which technology can give them, and how they can actually take it up. So that is why we are already having discussions with KSUM, and we have started an accelerator cell also, and we are planning to move in a two-pronged way. One is tie up with KSUM for that technology mentoring. And the second thing is, again, go to colleges and tie up with the IT team of the colleges. So that way also we are planning to improve our networking. Actually, our strength is in networking, and we are sure that if we are getting a proper hand-holding from KSUM, definitely we can bring about good organizations in our network wherein investors can definitely invest and take that 30% income so peacefully with a proper exit plan. Thank you.
Hey, hi everyone. So my name is Mohammad Isamuddin. I'm one of the founders at Entry App. So what we do is we provide different types of learning content in local languages that would help them upskill and get a job, either a government job or a private job. So we started from Cochin, 11 million total users, more than 500K subscribers, have raised close to $15 million across multiple rounds. So yeah, maybe 2 or 3 ideas that I want to share. One is, I think one of the recent initiatives that was very interesting from KSM sides for the fund of funds thing, which I think is very, very effective. Maybe if we can have a fund of funds for angel investors as well, I think that would be very, very interesting. And again, I just heard the KSIDC thing, and again, we were one of the early beneficiaries of KSIDC fund. We paid that back as well. And I think it was totally a debt structure. I think if KSIDC can kind of have a convertible note kind of structure, you can participate in the upside as well. For example, the angel investors who participated at the time of KSIDC's debt fund had a 32x return just 6 months back. So if KSIDC can have a convertible note kind of structure for future fundings, I'm sure that would be very helpful. So yeah, a couple of ideas, nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I'm running a startup of my own and also representing CII, so I think I can speak from both the sides. So first let me speak from the point of view of a startup. Like, we startups at the early stage of funding, we doesn't look into just money. So what startups look into is not somebody, not an investor who comes with a lot of money, put some money into it and sit back and see how the game goes. And finally, at the time of exit, they again comes in, take their part and leave. So that is not what startups basically look into. Even at the starting level, starting rounds of funds, startups agree to take even small ticket sizes like say 3 lakh or 5 lakh even, because they want the value which the investor, the specific investor brings into their company. They look into the value more. So even if it is small ticket sizes, they agree because they want that investor in their cap table so that it adds on value to their company. So yeah, so actually that is what an startup look from the investor, not just money, but hand-holding, mentoring, and the investor is not like investing money, they should also be ready to invest their time also into the startup so that they can grow. So that is what I want to speak from the startup side. And then again from the CII, we do have a good number of corporates. In CII, we have a custom like we get daily newsletters of corporates asking for startups for the solutions which the corporates want. Suppose if it is like recently we have a requirement from Saint Gobain looking for startups who are providing certain set of solutions. So we get, once in a while we get letters like that, so that the startups who are providing that particular solution can apply to that corporate, and that corporate can either fund or they can even take over the startup if it is beneficial for them. So I think in KSM also, if we have a good number of startups here, also they can connect with the corporates among the investors here. So investors will be particularly looking, everyone will not be looking for every fields, as he has rightly mentioned. Some of fields of interest will be there. Some will be interested in fintech, or some will be in education. So for the startups, it makes them easy to reach out to the investors if they know which sector they are interested in. So if there is a digital platform, in CII we have a platform called Icon, where investors as well as the startups can access, both can access. The startups, if they want, they can just request for a meeting with the investors in the platform, and investor can also allot their time for them. So if we have a digital platform like that where they can have a good connect, and also if the corporate needs are published among the startups, I think it will be little more easy. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. So I represent TiE Kerala. TiE is one of the world's largest entrepreneurship network. So one of the things that TiE as an organization can offer is mentorship, because we have, between TiE and Kerala Angel Network, we have close to 150 leaders or who can actually go ahead and mentor in different sectors, right from manufacturing to IT to retail. We have leaders in almost all the sectors. So one of the offerings that TiE as an organization can give is mentoring. I've been fortunate enough to be a part of this Kerala startup ecosystem for close to 10 plus years. So I work very closely with most of the people sitting in the room, and also startups from Kerala. So one of the things that I have seen is everybody is trying to do everything. So right from a TiE trying to do everything. So one of the approaches that I would like to recommend to this panelists, so if each of the organization can take up one sector, for example, Vivek and the community can take up like a compliance education, and Jitesh and Federal Bank and the banking community can take up the fintech education, and GTech can take up the IT integration and IT part of it. So you can bring in the sector experts and leaders who can actually take care of these specific things. And there is an accountability also that will also always be generated. So that's one of the suggestions that I want to give. Another thing is an option wherein we can internally spotlight and suggest startups, wherein if Thai Kerala or a Kerala Angel Network works with like around 10 startups, even if we are not maybe funding. So this is just a suggestion. So we could just go ahead and showcase, okay, these are some 10 bright startups that we have seen over the past 6 months. And the same thing if Conclo and a Unicorn and Malabar Angel Network can do. So the whole ecosystem knows what exactly are we looking at. And this will also create a bonding and a trust between the different stakeholders. Yeah, some of my suggestions. So happy to take up mentoring as one of the key things for Thai Kerala. Thank you.
Actually, I'm from Kinfra. Last year, we could be able to provide plots for 5 incubation units from startup who exited from the startup mission. I mean, the biotech incubators. Similar lines, we may not be able to fund for the startup, but I suggest once they develop, scale up, we can offer plots or spaces for the incubators. And also we have around 1,500 entrepreneurs in our all over Kerala, our park. So if there is a platform for interaction with the investors as well as incubators, it may be useful for maybe funding or technology tie-ups or maybe for a takeover or something like that as they interested. That is the suggestion from my side, sir.
Rajiv, this is Anil here. Rajiv, I represent a lot of young startups. One thing which I feel that we are missing the point is there is a huge difference in the gap of the mindset. If you look at it, what Anup Jain said is, the investors come from more than 45 plus. The startups come from the age group of 24 to 30, right? And the vibrancy there in the thought process is, in the thinking is, in the way they look at it is, and they look at the business is very different from what the investors look at from a different perspective. We all are pretty matured. We look at our legacy and we even everything, starting from the operations to valuation, we look at very different kind, right? Now, if you look at from a startup perspective, Kerala Startup Mission has got something called Unique ID for startups. Why can't we create a Kerala Angel list? Today, I see Shilan talking about 70, Arun talking about 170. We don't know who are these angel investors, where are these people sitting. If you go to Winehouse, there is a mechanism to get through that. If you go to Let's Venture, there is a mechanism. But in Kerala, there are a lot many people who might be investing, but as a startup founder, they don't have any access to it. So these guys keep on working here and there. Now, to look at the ecosystem, KSM has partnered with Stanford Seed Program, which gives a 180-day program, which handholds entire founders. They've done a good job there. They've got GSF Accelerator, which takes off 120 days with the startup founders. So I think educating the startups, they don't want to take up a session. They don't want to listen to the classes that's happening through, because they get a lot of information there in online and mechanisms are that incubators. But I think what we need to do is, if you look at how the paradigm is, KSM has been doing a very wonderful job of doing a grant from 2 to 3 to 5, 12 to 15, right? But beyond that, what? Nothing, right? So what happens if, KSIDC, talking about 25-50, what next? Nothing. So what happens is the startup, one other important element, I have seen, one thing which we are lacking right now is the investor community coming from youth, people like Rahul, there's another friend, Senu Sam, who are the youngsters, they are putting money. Senu Sam is a guy, startup founder, he invested in 30 startups now. So until unless that ecosystem starts, I don't think we will see a vibrancy sitting from top to bottom. It will not work. It has to be bottom up. So how do we create the vibrancy? See, in our case in Global, we have got about 600 startups, everybody bottom up. They're not looking at a huge money ticket size, right? And they are all who have got a high appetite of risk. But who is ready to handhold them? Nobody in Kerala is ready to take one step ahead to just say that, okay, I'm ready to give you a 5 lakh check. They're not asking for 1 crore, 2 crore, 500,000, nothing. But I think one thing that we need to bring up is how can we change the mindset, right? So until unless we create a Kerala Angel list, which talks about everybody who is investing in terms of sector agnostic, creating that platform, that will give at least a visibility or sitting on this side. People sitting on this side, they don't have any visibility, Rajiv. So that's the problem that we're seeing. People sitting on the top of it who are judging, they don't know what's happening at the bottom. They don't have the vibrancy of what we see in Bangalore, Delhi, and Mumbai. We are in Kerala, right? And we want only the Kerala guys to invest in Kerala startups and looking at building the Kerala. So there is a huge disconnect. How do we fix that? Is the message that I am bringing from the startups onto the stakeholder committee. Another disconnect. We are talking about whom to fix? The startup founders. What is the age group of the people sitting here? Have we got anybody below 35 years who is talking about their problem except for few of the founders? So we are not able to connect the real mindset. And that's a huge problem. There's a gap between the mindset from an investor to a startup founder. So how do we fix that is something we have to do a brainstorming. This is what I wanted to very honestly put in front of the panel. Thank you.
Yeah, I represent Cochin University, the leading science and technology university here. We have incubated maybe over 100 student startups across the last 5 years. At least those many students have gone through this fascinating journey. See, one issue that we face there, I mean, maybe it's for the investors to look at that. Most of the effort in the last few years have been to force some of my postgraduates and doctoral students into the startup ecosystem. I mean, because there is a lot of concern about the quality of startup that we do. So if they are able to convert some of this quality research that they have done across years, and if I can commercialize it, nothing like it. But we find this a very long journey. And many times we find, as many of you rightly said, angel investors look for maybe small ticket size and quick turnover. And these are people who look for maybe slightly longer investment horizon, slightly bigger funds. So where do they, stand? I mean, do they have a chance of attracting your attention is something. So many times the students also feel that maybe I will go with a Swiggy or a Byju's, which is easy because I can easily, do that and talk a lot about it. And these guys are not very flashy, but they have very lot of stuff in them. So how do they come into picture? The second issue here could be, we are also trying to help them with some of funds and all. But there is a concern among many of these startups, like institutions, especially public universities and government institutions like ICDC and all, invest in them. It may become a black mark when they become eligible candidates for angels. So do you have a kind of aversion if they have kind of formal tie-ups with government institutions which drag them? But these are some of the concerns they express. And also would be happy if you can, angels here sitting here, can spell out what you exactly expect from higher education institutions. What more can we do? I mean, we are trying our level best to groom them, to help them become good candidates for you people. But then if you have any specific suggestions, we'll be more than happy to take them. Thank you.
Hi. Excuse me. A point very similar to this. I'm from Rajagiri. I'm Father Jason. We got an incubation center, and also we got an IEDZ, and I think last Saturday we had an IEDZ summit. But at the same time, as a teacher, I used to give pep talks to my students. And then one of my class, the last, I think, couple of months back, after this pep talk, a student came to me, Neil. He said, Father, it's a good idea. You are talking something big. But the problem is I'm actually coming originally from Mumbai, but now I'm studying in Cochin. And I went back to Mumbai to see my friends during the holidays, and I was amazed. I was amazed at the work they were doing. That means they were into startups, they were creating new things, and they were starting new companies. But I don't see these kind of activities here. And then the problem is, I'm from Rajagiri, we are right in the middle of everything. We are very next to the Info Park, Smart City, everything, but still, as Anil mentioned, that disconnect is there. Because I think this is the first time I'm also getting introduced to this kind of angel investors, but I never seen any of them come to the campus. I asked Sam, has anyone come to the Kusar campus? He said no. So that means that disconnect is there. So I was thinking about Neil's proposition, and finally I thought that, we need a kind of hyperloop. The hyperloop that is Elon Musk connecting maybe Kochi to Mumbai, Kochi to Bangalore, a kind of venture loop. So can we have a venture loop? That means we need to connect to the angel investors. I think that gentleman over there, he rightly pointed out, can we have a Kerala Startup Day in Bangalore or maybe in Mumbai? So who will take the initiative? And he was mentioning about the angel network, right? All these ideas are coming up. I think if we can bridge this gap, then only I think we'll have a very good, active ecosystem in Kerala. And I put forward this suggestion to you.
So, hi, this is Mittu here from Head Start.
So for the interest of time, I'll just sum it up in 3 points. So I think in the investment side, the first thing that we need to do is sensitization. I'm not calling it learning, I'm calling it sensitization. So sensitization on 2 fronts. On the startup side, because so last year we did something called a pitch boot camp to train 20 startups to go in investments. 3 of them have gone on to raise 1.5 CR plus. So what we realized from that program is they don't understand the investor mindset. They come there, talk about technology, they come there, talk about all the big jargons, but they don't understand the investors are here to make money. So they don't know how to sell the money perspective. That's one sensitization. So, but if you look for a lot of you guys have talked about a lot of other sensitization issues from the startup side. Similarly, from an investor side also. Yesterday night I was having a conversation here itself, and somebody said, a Series B startup, the founders cumulatively doesn't hold even 40%. So what is the interest for them to go on to a Series C or D? Because then the next round they're going to come down to a 15 or a 20. They don't have any more interest. The moment they decide I'm going out of this startup, all the angel to Series D is dead, right? So there is a sensitization that needs on the investor side also. And the points are long, but that's the first thing I think we need to do. The second thing is, you have to look at investment as a continuous engagement. It's not you put the term sheet, you give the check and you're done. That's your bank loan basically. Because you have to support them in terms of, because this is the first time they might be getting a 2 CR or a 3 CR in hand. How do they hire a very senior technology person, like who you have to pay 50 lakhs or 60 lakhs annually? Like they don't know how to select those people. So from hiring to team management, they have not managed teams more than 15 people. How do you manage more than 15 people? So a lot of investment houses like Bloom and all these places, they have a lot of programs where they do with the startups post-investment. And that actually helps them to get an exit later on. So that would be the second thing, looking at investment from a continuous perspective. And the third one would be a collaborative environment. So at Head Start, we have something called Head Start Investor Circle today, which is a syndicate. We are not a fund, but we are a syndicate. We have invested in 4 startups right now across India. And most of the investments, we don't do it alone. We bring in a lot of other folks. So maybe our syndicate can bring in only a 30 lakhs. But the startups that we have invested in, they've gone on to do 4 CR and 5 CR. But that is from other ventures also coming on together. So when today a Can or a Conglo or all of these people are investing in startups, if the fund round is not met by them alone, the ecosystem is happy to support. So if nobody else is there, you can always reach out to Head Start. We'll try to facilitate that things. But I'm pretty sure everybody else also would like to, like how they had said, like in Bombay and Delhi, somebody's investing, they would talk to the other guy and they would also jump in and co-invest. And that's the beauty of it, because that's how you can meet that round and then go to the next round. Thank you.
Hi. So, yeah. What I have to say, Kerala is traditionally, people invest in real estate, then invest in gold. That's what we've seen. And even stock market is something that is relatively new. So I think what we need to do is, we need to highlight this alternate investment as an opportunity to people. Extensive amount of investor awareness is required to get people to look at it as an option. So I think KSUM being the nodal body, I think if they do it, it'll have, other than getting an angel to do it, I think people will take it more seriously when KSUM is doing it. And like what's happened today, we've got so many people in the room called us. Similarly, I think we can get the Malayali, if you're looking at the Malayali community itself, the NRIs. A lot of wealthy NRIs outside Kerala who would be interested in doing business in Kerala, but they can always look at investing in Kerala startups. So that is something they would be really interested in. I believe they would be interested in. So Kerala Startup Mission can get these people in the room. That is something I think can be easily done. Apart from that, I think we should, like everybody was saying, that we need to look at people from outside, not restrict ourselves to Kerala alone. So we extensively use the stakeholders here, like Young Indians or CI or TIE networks outside, all the chapters across India. So Young Indians alone has around 5,000 members across close to 60 chapters across Kerala. And what I've noticed is there's a special interest group in Young Indians alone for angel investing. There's a lot of interest there. So we can get KSUM to do sessions for them, and there's definitely we can generate interest among people there. So that's my 2 cents on it. Thank you.
Can I come in? Some more things.
Various startups, and also we connect with the startup mission also in various activities. I'll concentrate on the Kerala angle as such. FICCI has been concentrating Kerala mainly on the MSMEs because the various MSMEs require a lot of support. So one of the things which we found was one was marketing, so we are concentrating on the B2Bs and G2Bs with the marketing supports, another one technology and the finance sectors. As you are aware, during the World Expo, we were the partner to the government of India for the India Pavilion for the last 6 months. Then we started a session called Startup Pitching Session in connection with the Indian Embassy and the CG's office at Dubai. So that is going on really well. We connect the pitching session. It was started with 1 or 2 sessions every month, subsequently added numbers. So we connect the various startups, including from Kerala and mainly from other parts of the country on. So that session is really helpful to startup to connected with the various investors like the funders already mentioned, NRIs. So that is one area which we have been concentrating also, and we are continuing to doing the same also in coordination with the IBPC as well as the Startup Middle East also. Another thing which also we have found is that after the SEPA has come into effect, that you must be all aware of SEPA, what is the SEPA, and also the Dubai has become, UAE has become the main hub point for the operation to the various countries in the UAE and the Middle East. So in fact, the last discussion I had with the GDFT also, the manifesto of the increased number of the that certificate in origin Kerala has really improved to great extent. The food and agro sector is one of the key areas which has also a lot of potentials. Currently what we are looking at is we are also coming with a startup conclave in a couple of months in Kerala, connecting with mainly with the NRIs in the Middle East and other countries, and also connecting with the other stakeholders in the various parts of the country, so that our startup system how it can improve and get this connected as such. Thank you.
Yeah, so if I may add just one point, I represent XIME, Xavier Institute of Management and Entrepreneurship, which is a business school, and I think I have another alumni from XIME Bangalore here, so Vinay is an alumni of Bangalore. And one of the things that I was listening to the conversations, and one of the things which I wanted to probably say is that we all have individual agendas, I think. So I think if all of us come under one platform, like what I would say what Arun said was a very valid point, because each one of us can take a particular vertical and then probably, let us all come under probably one nodal thing like KSUM, and then go forth. I think it will be very useful. Second thing, what I have seen with my students is like we have also incubated startups, and we proudly say that we do this live projects with Kerala Startup Mission. So we are just next door to a startup mission in Kochi. So one of the things where the students still have a problem is like, should I go for a big CTC placement or should I go for a startup? So still that thing is still there, because people say that in the matrimonial thing, the startups doesn't have much of a charm. So probably that is one thing. But one thing which I have noticed is like down the lane in another 5 years, these alumni, those people who are working with high CTC in MNCs, etc., they have started their own startups. So that is a good platform. So if those, like what Riaz was telling about alumni network and connecting that, etc., I think that also has to be thought of. Plus, from a higher education institution point, we can also provide a lot of intellectual capital. Our students are a huge resource. I think angel networks and that student disconnect is very much there. People don't know. So I think those kind of things also has to be, we need to catch them young. That is the only suggestion that I have. Yes.
Yeah, just a quick point. I know many points were discussed here, so I might say something which might be absurd, but we always talk about HNIs and angel investors doing this one. But why not about medium net worth individuals, right? So there are many people who came to me asking whether can they invest in some startup or something like that. But I used to tell them, you're not a HNI, but they are very much interested and they have money parked, right? So why can't Kerala Startup Mission create a platform like that for some people like that? And then you have on the other side, Rahul, people like Rahul and Sinu, who are also investing a lot. And who are the best investors to do? The founders themselves, right? So can we sensitize the founders themselves to get on, the Kerala Startup Mission can take that as an initiative to bring them more? And third point, I would like to say, like, on the startup side, you have like, grooming them startups on how to present well in front of the investors. But also on the other side, you have startups who are not interested in, they might be having very good products. They are also in the revenue mode and everything, but they are not interested in getting on board some investors or something like that. Why can't we sensitize them on the value of what a angel investor or some investor is coming to do, investing money in their part. It's not always about the money. It is at the end of the day, but it's also the connections and the network that they bring around, right? So that could be some good points also to go forward.
Ever since I came here, I was also just thinking that, I have the unenviable task of trying to make the startup ecosystem more gender inclusive, which is not an easy task considering that Kerala is still a very patriarchal society despite all the achievements on the education and the health front. But when it comes to job, as Ranjana was saying, it's very horrible if you go to the matrimony and girl's doing a startup, she'll just not, very difficult to get married, so they normally don't look at it. So it's a real challenge. So they literally need comprehensive hand-holding as well as support from the family, which is not an easy task. But then as a gender angle does bring in different angles, and we really need, and I know for certain that Kerala Women Development Corporation, everyone is trying to make this more inclusive. And Startup Mission, I always look at I was wondering why my girls are not here listening to that there is an ecosystem here. And there is something happening here, because such happenings are a motivation that we can, otherwise they have a feeling, okay, only people from already Connect can do it. We can't do it. That is a kind of, I was wondering why those kids, this should be telecast and they should get the exposure that this kind of things are happening in the ecosystem and it is possible. That is one thing I wanted to say. And second is we would really like a policy change, because I come from an arts and science college. Normally I find all startups focusing only on tech engineering, even the policy aspect. I've been battling with my own institution saying that there is not only, I'm not blaming the set. I want policy from the Startup Mission is here. Policy from the higher education department that give the students a freedom to go out. Even now, I have a lot of conservative teachers who insist on the students sitting in the class and mugging up. Why do you need? So that kind of support system where you romanticize that the girls who don't sit in class but go and do business are really something, you give them the freedom. That kind of policy support is needed. For that, I think the entire startup system, you have TiE Kerala, everyone should push for the policy so that there is a change in the mentality and Kerala as a whole, so that it benefits even the women also. Thank you so much.
So anyway, everything's been covered, but I'm just going to try something. So media coverage, for example, Roshan from Madhrumi covers a lot of startups. If you can nudge Manorama and everyone else to cover it and make it front page news once in a while, it would actually motivate a lot of people. So at 22 in 2007, I started up, thankfully got married in 2012 to a nice lady through arranged marriage also, it worked. So my wife has a startup. She's scaling up a D2C brand without investment and profitably. My 7-year-old son has a soap brand, very small kid, doing on his own, selling in school. So what I've seen is people who have made businesses on their own, in the first gen, they have a lot more appetite for this. Whereas a lot of old money, like as part of Tycon, I went to somebody who's an ultra HNI to get some funds for our sponsorship. And he said, if there are startups there, I would like to fund. So, but they wouldn't have time to evaluate. So if there is a fund of, like, they can become LPs. If somebody can figure out how to do that, getting a few 100 crores out of Kerala from these 500 mil to few bill worth people is not going to be that difficult. But getting them to directly invest as part of Angels, it's really tough. Unless you have somebody leading and then calling, but then that's your personal integrity at play, because startups, you can't vouch for startups, right? It doesn't work that way. There's only so much you can do. Our Kerala Angel Network people can say that. So second thing as I was thinking is, maybe recognize angels publicly where it comes in the paper. It's Maslow's hierarchy, right? So people get a little bit of recognition, it works. If you're already worth a few bill, then it doesn't matter. I think a lot of other things matter. So getting them recognized for what they're doing in terms of number of investments or volume or whatever it is, it might work. And yeah, this is what I've seen with old money is you have to probably motivate them emotionally and talk about giving back, rather than just talk about ROI, which is also obviously important. They are more looking forward towards ROI than anybody else, but also playing the emotional angle and having a larger number of deals wherein things are likelier to work through professional money being put in is something you need to look at. But I think media is important, and I think media is doing a disservice by not covering enough, whereas somebody like Roshan is, but everyone else should also.
Hi. Yeah, to conclude, actually I'm representing GTech as well as obviously I'm the part of NASCOM. Almost 225 to 250 companies are in Kerala which is having more than 10 plus years, which runs under a bootstrap model. So almost all the companies are running in a profitable way, otherwise they are not able to sustain since last 10 to 15 years. Currently, based on my understanding, very less than 1% of that companies are engaging with the startups for supporting their technology or guidance or mentoring activities. So what I'm suggesting is most of the companies are, obviously I'm running one company with since last 15 to 20 years with 1,400 employees. The problem is if a startup is approaching to the organization like GTech or NASCOM, they're really ready to support everyone. But in that case, that connect between the startups and the industry, currently running industry organizations, that is not available there. That is the main problem which I am finding in between the unsuccessful startups and the industry or successful organization. So what I am suggesting is create a link, a strong link between the industry organizations, which is having more than 10 to 15 years since last 15 years of experience, and we need to link with the startups. That creates a lot of value addition to the companies, because everyone is really experienced in sales, marketing, business development, customer support, technology integrations, like Pushpi mentioned. Everyone is really expert and they know the global market also. But so that integration is really important. That's my suggestion. GTech, NASCOM and some other organizations are really there for supporting that type of startups. Then automatically money will come. Thank you.
An expected outcome. Really amazing to hear all of you. I wish Anup was here to personally listen to all of you. What I like the most about is the fact that we could not only come up with problem statements, but also come up with solutions. And true to the quality of leadership under this roof, what we will do is that we will collate all of your inputs. Thank you so much for coming in today, giving your valuable inputs, be it from the investment side, startup side, ecosystem side. One thing that I would definitely like to say is that there is a lot of passion that I could sense in all of you. All of you want to see your state becoming really big in terms of startups, and growth of the startup ecosystem is on your mind. So we would definitely, I would urge the KSUM team to take the help of, like Sujay was saying, Sujas was saying, NASCOM, organization like CIR there, FICCI is there. There are a lot of ties here, a lot of great organizations who already in the last 10 years have built in some in-house capabilities to address some of these problems where there are some ready solutions already available with us. And in fact, we don't have to go outside this room. For every problem statement that came in, I saw some solution being suggested by someone. If KSU could just bring us all together and try and see how each of us can pitch in and help each other, I think this ecosystem can go a long way and achieve its true potential. Last thing I would say is that I have personally been in various parts of the country, fortunate enough, and seen various startups. And Kerala, I tell you, has some of the best startups. The quality of your startups here in Kerala is phenomenal. The volume might not be as big as a Bangalore or a Delhi, like Nakul was saying, but the quality is there. And if we can identify high potential startups and help build this ecosystem, then there is no way that the investment in Kerala will not flow in. So with that, thank you so much for coming in, and Vivek for the rest.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rajiv. I think it's pretty much summed the session up in the right spirit of the discussion. As I said when I started, almost 90% of you I either personally or professionally associated with. But I think this has certainly been the best discussion that any of us have been in. Because all practical thoughts were brought to the table, and as Rajiv rightly said, a lot of thoughts, a lot of solutions, a lot of ideas. It's all come in. Now my only request to the ACM team is ensure that we take this forward. We've had a discussion, a lot of very valid points are there. Ensure the video recording is there. I would request your team to bring this down into a few bullet points, have some implementable action plans, and we must meet again and review where we stand on the points discussed. Otherwise, the fruits of what we have, the couple of hours which we spent together, we need to ensure that it comes into the, raising money was all that we started with as the primary agenda. But during the course of the discussion, we have gone into all the relevant aspects, including mentoring and support and all of that. So it's been a wonderful discussion, and on behalf of Startup Mission, let me thank all of you, Rajiv, and the entire delegates representing various organizations. Thank you all for being here. And on behalf of all of us, let me thank Startup Mission for inviting all of us, bringing us under the same roof. And Nasir has also told me to request all of you to kindly join for all the sessions hereafter. Really interesting sessions all day, and to also join for lunch. And we also wanted a group photo of all of us. So with that, we will close for